Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast from Visit Aurora. From the rafters of the Stanley Marketplace, this is the show dedicated to telling the stories of Aurora, Colorado. Hi there, I'm Dave, Senior Marketing Manager for Visit Aurora. July 20th, 2012 is among the darkest days in our history. That's the date one of the most brutal mass shootings in our nation's history took place right here in our community at the Century 16 Theater during a screening of The Dark Knight Rises. It's a date none of us in this community will ever forget. In the wake of that day, we also learned stories of incredible acts of love, kindness, heroism, and selflessness. The 720 Foundation was established in March of 2013 to carry out the fundraising, planning, and oversight of the construction of the permanent 720 Memorial to honor all of the victims of that tragedy. That vision was realized in July of 2018. Today, I'm honored to be joined by the CEO of the 720 Foundation, Heather Dearman. Heather, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be telling the story, and I'm really grateful that you're willing to tell it.
Absolutely. Hate to start this way, but as we record this, we're less than 48 hours removed from yet another tragedy, this time the elementary school shooting in Texas. When these events happen, and by the way, are you okay? I want to start with that.
Yes. Yes.
When these events happen, I know for those of us in this community, it opens up wounds, but you specifically, when this news hits, how does it affect you? And do you go into how can I help mode or how do you manage when these headlines arise?
When I first, for me personally, heard the headline, I felt like I was back in 2012 again. Yeah. There's a lot of parallels because my cousin Ashley was in the theater that night on July 20th, and she was with her 6-year-old daughter, Veronica, and she was also pregnant. And Ashley was unfortunately shot and now paralyzed, and she lost her unborn child and her beautiful daughter, 6-year-old Veronica. And so because she was in the hospital fighting for her life, we couldn't have Veronica's services until October. And so in October, you know, our hearts were already ripped open, but like it almost opens a wound again when you're at the services. Yeah. And it seemed like a short 8 weeks later, maybe, that Sandy Hook happened.
Yeah.
And for our family, for the whole country, really, it really devastated everyone. But to have just said goodbye to a 6-year-old and then know that several innocent children were killed, it just doesn't seem real. And then here we are 10 years later, and like we're already so raw because it's the 10-year.
Yeah.
And then for something similar to happen again, it just seems just unreal.
There is a cliche that time heals all wounds, but there's still a lot of healing in our community that is still happening to this day, I imagine.
There is. I mean, obviously last Tuesday wasn't the first time that something horrific happened. It's interesting because I don't know if I'm wrong, but like since Sandy Hook in 2012, it didn't seem like it was one succession after another of it happening. It seemed, right. I don't even know, because everything's a blur. When a tragedy and you have a tragedy in your community, everything is a blur, it seems like. But like I said, it started happening more frequently. And I know that every time we hear about that in the news, especially us in Aurora, it triggers us all over again. Absolutely. And people are on edge, and you're in the grocery store and there's just like this heaviness around.
The 720 Memorial Foundation's board is comprised primarily of loved ones and survivors of the tragedy. Through the foundation, you've kind of found an extended family, I imagine.
Yes, it definitely is a blessing. I joined the foundation in 2015. Up until 2015, our family was rallying around Ashley and kind of in our own little world. But you know, and the trial was going on. The trial actually didn't get over until 2015. Yeah. But I remember, because I also happen to work for the city of Aurora. You know, I'm a native here. I raised my family here, and I work for the city. So I love Aurora. But anyways, I was working at the city and I asked someone in the building if there was going to be a memorial built, and they indicated that they were having a hard time raising funds. Mm-hmm. And when I went back home and called my aunt on the phone, one of my 4 daughters was on the couch with her sister, and they heard me saying that money was needed. And my youngest daughter at the time was 4, and my oldest daughter was, I can't remember their ages, but they thought about having a lemonade stand in honor of Veronica to raise money. I said, yes, let's do it. And I went to the board, and it was made up of family members and survivors, and asked if it was okay if we did a lemonade stand. Of course, they said yes.
Right.
Then I decided to go to Nick's Garden Center, one of our beloved community what are they called?
Is it like an arboretum?
Like a nursery.
Yeah, nursery. It's awesome. It's a great place.
Yeah, and it's in a garden. Well, they had already decided that whatever the memorial was going to be, it would be built in the garden in front of the city building.
Yeah.
Because the city bequeathed us the land. But anyways, my thought was like, we're going to have it in a garden, so let's have the lemonade stand fundraiser at a garden center. And Richard said, yes, of course, we'll have it on our busiest day. And I just remember so many of the community like rallied around us and gathered together and came to that lemonade stand. And one special part of that lemonade stand, too, is I had asked Chief Metz at the time if he would bring as many police officers to the lemonade stand as possible. Yeah. And the reason why is my cousin Ashley had sent a kindergarten picture of Veronica to me. And one side was a picture of her in a graduation cap. And on the other side, it said, I want to be a police officer when I grow up.
One of the best stories that came out of that was Veronica being honored as an honorary police officer for the city of Aurora. I mean, what a powerful moment that had to have been for your family.
Oh my gosh, it was breathtaking. They had a whole procession of police to the garden center, and they folded a flag, and a flag has 13 folds, and we lost 13. And they said the name of a victim on each fold, and they presented the flag to my cousin. And they also made a plaque with that kindergarten picture on it and a police badge, and gave one to her. And one of those hangs in one of the police stations now.
The memorial is beautiful. It's poignant. How is a shared community space to gather and reflect so cathartic for this community?
It has been cathartic from the day we started having our annual fundraiser for the memorial in that space. Like, it was just a heap of dirt and nobody knew what it was going to be. But we decided to have our fundraiser in that area, and it almost like brought a certain energy to it of people gathering and remembering and honoring, but also celebrating life, really, because our board has always, from the very beginning, we wanted that to be a place not only of remembering, but of healing and of honoring our community and the survivors and the loved ones. And we want people to feel the love of those that we lost, so their hearts carry on, and so that we are extending that love, and so they're still here in a way because of that.
It's a place of reflection, but it's also a place of hopefulness, and it's a place of community, and I think that's exactly what you were striving for. A lot of the events that you hold there really do bring people together.
So much. It's just been so amazing. We've had the chalk art artists there every year, and every year we pick a theme for them to chalk live for people. And then the breweries that come, and like the brewery is a whole community in and of itself. And like we've heard before that a lot of brewers don't like doing festivals, but they'll always come to ours because they feel that sense of community. And it's just amazing to see like everyone come out and like connect with one another, and it just shows that there's so much love and compassion out there. And it just it's a testament to how wonderful the people of Aurora are too.
It's so easy to be distracted by our differences and the things that we disagree upon. But when you do have kind of this stripped down raw humanity that's brought together, you see that we truly are connected, and spaces like the 720 Memorial kind of is an important reminder of that connection that we have to one another.
You said that so good.
Thank you.
Like, you should write some content for us.
I'd be happy to help,
because that's exactly, you put it into words, that's exactly it. I think with our memorial and with our paper crane peace project, when people hear a story about it, like companies will reach out and say, this is something that we can get behind because we have such a diverse group of people, but everyone agrees that paying love forward, everyone can agree on.
For those who haven't yet made the trek to the 720 Memorial, can you kind of describe its inspiration and construction from an artistic standpoint?
I think for our board, the first thing that helped with it was when Roberta Bloom from Art in Public Places, the city. So a backstory is the city Mayor Hogan, our beloved Mayor Hogan, he's the one who founded the foundation. He knew we would need a memorial. So he had city management sit on the board until the family was ready to take over. And this is such a story I like to brag about because you wouldn't think that of government. Like when the board started coming together, they just sat back as advisors, and they let us go at our own pace, and they were cognizant of the healing process we were in. But what happened was, when they brought in Roberta Bloom, when we started raising money after the lemonade stand, they started realizing, oh my gosh, this is really getting started. We should start talking about what the art should be. But she told us something that she said she's never done before with an art board, because we're not artists. She asked us what we wanted people to feel when they were in the garden. And that's when we said we want people to feel peace and healing and remembrance, and that's how we did our call to artists. And what we decided to do was say, we don't want you to submit what you think the art should be, but why you want to work on it. And as a board, we decided we had to be 100% unanimous, and we narrowed it down to 4 finalists who we brought out to Aurora, and they met with survivors, first responders, and we also, Aurora History Museum, if you haven't talked to them yet, they hold a huge special place in our heart. It's a whole other story about how they collected everything from 2012 across from the theater, meticulously took care of it like it was a soul, really. But we had them display some things from there because they had it in a warehouse, so they took out a bunch of stuff to display for the artists. And the artist we chose, Dow Blumberg, when he presented the idea, because we wanted it to also incorporate community and how they gave to us, he was inspired by the 1,000 paper cranes that were given to us by a young man in O'Fallon, Missouri. He collected paper cranes at a Starbucks with notes on them. And so his concept was to sculpt 83 cranes, and 70 of them represent the 70 that are injured, and then 13 of them represent the ones we lost. And it's just so beautiful when you go there, because it's like you see the 70 that are white, and they're like coming in from the berm, which a lot of the artists described as a big hug, because it's like, even though it's so close to the theater, you can't see the theater, and it like surrounds you with a big hug. And the 70 cranes are swooping in different flights from around the berm towards the center, as you see the 13 in the centerpiece that have clear wings going up towards the heavens. And so it's just like a beautiful moving piece, and you can look at it from every different angle and get a different feeling. But the special part that I always like to talk about is how he incorporated our community, and that is that in every single one of those 83 cranes is a canister, and we had collected notes from the community, just kind of like the boy in O'Fallon, Missouri, and we stuffed each of the canisters with those notes. And we also printed out a sheet of words, of positive words that came from the tragedy, things of like hope and first responders and community, and then a sheet of negative words, fear. I don't want to go through all the negative words, but we put those in there. We like cut them all out and put some in each, kind of like we knew that the birds would be carrying those for us.
You've touched on this a little bit, but you've expanded the paper crane project. It's super unique and creative, in outreach of positivity and love to other communities. Can you expound a little bit on the paper crane projects? It's so unique and creative.
Thank you. Yes. Well, when we were first raising money for the memorial, we would go to different City of Aurora events like Global Fest and 4th of July. And at our booth, it seemed like maybe that's when it started happening in 2015, where it seemed like shootings were happening in succession, but we were making banners for people, and it would say like "Love to Dallas," and we'd have people sign it because that's what people did for us.
Right.
Like the city hall was filled with those banners. But when we decided on the memorial being based off of paper cranes, we had the idea of let's send paper cranes to those communities instead of the banners. And so at booths, when there are booths, we have origami paper there, and also already folded cranes for people to write notes of love and support to other communities, and we put them on a wreath and we send them out to that different community. And right now we're working on 3 of them.
Can you talk a little bit about the outreach that the 720 Memorial Foundation does to support other communities that have experienced a similar tragedy? You've kind of bonded with these other communities, and you reach out to give support. Can you talk a little bit about what those endeavors are?
Yeah, so the Rebels Project was born out of Columbine, and they actually started that in 2012 when the theater shooting happened because they didn't have that support then. And out of every tragedy seems to become a nonprofit. And so we're forming a coalition of nonprofits for mass shootings to kind of learn best practices and do outreach. We really want to bring awareness to the long-term healing needs of survivors. There's the example of my cousin Ashley, Stefan, Caleb, who are all in wheelchair now and always will need medical help. But we expound that even more in that we believe that you're part of being a survivor, whether you were there or not, or injured or not, because the ripple effect is so huge. And so like I think about today, or even on Tuesday when that happened, there's so many people in our community who were affected by the July tragedy, but never reached out back then, and they're finding themselves hurting right now and not really understanding why. And they deserve to now, 10 years later, go get that help as well. And we just want to bring awareness to the fact that it's never ending, and there should be support in perpetuity.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that there are those shared experiences, but there's nothing like getting the support from somebody who kind of has a direct knowledge of what you're going through, and the bevy of emotions and the anger and the sadness and even the hopefulness for the future and the kindness, all of that. Just having that support system you can't put a value on that. That's absolutely incredible. And it's kind of, I imagine there's probably a sense of obligation to do that for others who have experienced this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's one of the things that we've always been so grateful for, the support of our community in 2012 and how they helped us realize and make the memorial happen, that we have to pay it forward. We want to pay it forward. And we feel like we're keeping the memory of our loved ones alive by doing that.
To mark the passage of 10 years, you've chosen the theme of metamorphosis to honor the transformation of the community and the lives that are also forever changed. So many amazing events. Can you tell us about them?
Yes, I'm so excited and happy to tell you about the events. We really wanted to do something for everyone because everyone's at a different point in their healing journey and people connect to different types of things. So every year since the shooting, there's always been the Midnight Vigil, and that's open to the public. And it starts on July 19th around 10:45 is when people start gathering, and we have a whole program where we, say a prayer and go through the memorial and recite the names, and the first responders do a procession at the end. It's always very special and solemn. And so we've always thought, after such a solemn, heavy experience that we'll always have on the 19th, the following Saturday, we always have our Reflection Garden on tap. And every year we have breweries and chalk artists and a band. And since it's the 10-year, we know we had to expand and make it even bigger. One or 2 years we did have a 5K run, but that became a lot to handle, so we haven't had it for a couple of years, but people always ask to bring it back, and we're happy to say we are having a 5K this year. It's actually super, super special because Zach Goldich is a Gateway football player and a survivor, and he wants to have a scholarship for an Aurora Public Schools student athlete because he was on an athletic scholarship after his trauma, and it really helped him heal. And he was an NFL football player and now a South Metro firefighter. So it all fits so perfectly. But the 5K will start at 9 a.m. and we're taking registrations now. If you're 21 or older, you'll get a free wristband to the other event I'll tell you about. But 9 a.m. and it's pretty poetic, I would say, because it starts right across from the theater at the RTD station, and then it will end in the Memorial Garden, and it's called the Heroes Run. And then at 1:45 p.m., this was something we added when we connected with Becky Hogan, who is our beloved Mayor Hogan's wife. She's doing a really great job of having a reflection ceremony at 1:45, kind of on the Great Lawn, and that's going to be more of a formal ceremony where we'll have some speakers of people who were involved in the past behind the scenes who were also affected, like Chief Oates, Chief Garcia. We're going to have survivors speaking, things like that. And then at 3 o'clock kicks off the community celebration and bring back our same breweries. We have like 22 so far. We have 2 awesome bands playing. Brushfire is a local band that we've always had there, and we're excited that we get to have Latin Soul. They're really, really
phenomenal.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Wellness booths and kids activities. And the last premier part of this event, all of this is on July 23rd, is Metamorphosis, which is going to be an immersive orchestra. They're going to be set up near the garden, and you can sit amongst the orchestra. And we've been
wow.
Yeah.
How cool is
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
We're going to be we've been working with the conductor and picking out 4 pieces that kind of artistically show the metamorphosis of our community. And really everyone can connect to that because our whole world has gone through a metamorphosis with COVID and everything going on.
Absolutely.
But to add to that, we have a poet laureate, Asetu, who's going to be presenting a custom piece. And then we're going to be having the students from DAVA are creating visual art that's going to be on a screen that's going to go with the orchestra. And we have a dance company we just got done filming a couple of weeks ago, them amongst the garden, showing a dance. So it's like this whole art immersive experience because there's shock art. Oh my gosh. I can't even believe this is happening. We've been talking about it for so long and it's coming together so beautifully. It's going to be amazing and it's going to be healing.
What I love the most about this is that you didn't even need a sheet of paper. You've been so involved in all of this that you know by heart everything that's going to happen, not only on the 19th, but the 23rd. What an incredible way to honor the community. And posted here on the link to the podcast, we'll have a direct link to all of the day's festivities, all of the week's festivities, so that you can be a part of what is a really powerful community. It's amazing that you can be there in those times of need. In a perfect world, no new communities would emerge that would need this kind of support. But these problems persist. I know that this is a very loaded, long conversation, but in your view, what can we do as a society to limit these events from happening in the future?
Well, as a foundation, we're really passionate about mental health for all. Everyone deserves mental health. Also, just any small act of kindness that you can show to one human being makes a difference, even if you don't see the result. It's really hard to sit back for us, and have to find another wreath to give to someone else, because you're like, why am I doing this? It keeps on happening. But
right.
We will receive notes back from those communities right at the right time. In fact, the Tree of Life, one time I was getting ready to send out a wreath to a different community, and another thing happened. And just as I was crying at my desk thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this again. The mail came and Tree of Life sent a note about how much it meant to them that they got that. And it reminded me to keep going. And so really, I just think if everyone could just realize that we're all humans and give just a little, even a smile, you never know how a smile could have changed someone's day. And the hard part about that, I know for people is that you don't know what you prevented because there's no way to measure that.
Absolutely. Personally, what lessons have you taken from the last 10 years?
To always be grateful for what you have and for everyone around you, to never give up and to still keep believing in love and hope. Yeah, especially today, to be able to talk to you about this today, it's been very heavy the past 2 days.
Yeah.
But knowing that I was going to come here and talk about something of a way of healing and giving back and connecting with one another, it gave me more strength and I feel more inspired.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about our conversation, and she said it's kismet that we were able to talk together today. So
I know.
How can the folks listening get involved and support the 720 Memorial Foundation?
Well, we will be forever collecting paper cranes. Our original hope was to fill a huge clear bin of paper cranes to show that there's more love in the world than hate. And it does keep getting replenished, so that's wonderful. So even if we do have to use them again, we know that there's always an overflowing, non-ending supply of that. But we also would love donations to help us support our cause. And you can donate on our website, 7-20memorial.org.
Heather, there's power in a collective consciousness of love, support, and empathy. And I want to thank you and the 720 Foundation for being stewards of that power for our community.
Of course. It's in our DNA now. And I just want to say, like, I love Aurora so much, and there's so much beauty here and so many kind people, and you know, this is proof of that. If you want to see proof of that, come to our event. Like, everyone is welcome from all over, not just Aurora. We welcome everyone.
Heather Dearman, CEO of the 720 Foundation. Visit them online at 7-20memorial.org. You can also visit their Facebook and Instagram pages at 720 Memorial Foundation. Hey, thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast. Visit Aurora is the official destination marketing organization for the city of Aurora, Colorado, and acts as the primary liaison between meeting planners and hotel partners. As Aurora's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Aurora's mission is grounded in showcasing Aurora as a premier destination for meetings, business, and leisure travel. Visit Aurora represents more than 75 plus hotel properties with 13,500 plus guest rooms and more than 1 million square feet of meeting space, including Colorado's largest resort, Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. As Colorado's third largest city, Aurora is located minutes away from Denver International Airport and showcases mountain views, memorable meeting spaces, and 250 plus international eateries that offer a unique experience for each and every visitor. As the Gateway to the Rockies, Visit Aurora's role in the local community goes beyond marketing the city as a destination. The Visit Aurora team is here to assist you with your Colorado visit, from facilitating your meeting, event, or convention to helping you discover local flavor and attractions. Go beyond the boardroom in Aurora, Colorado. For more, visit us at visitaurora.com.